Good afternoon. I'm very happy today to welcome Sarah Grace Lee. She's a model and she used to be a ballerina, now actress, television presenter. She's a lot of work. She will talk us about her career. How are you, Grace? Everything's fine?
Oh, it's so lovely to be here. I'm so excited. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure. Very happy to meet you. I've seen that you started Uh, you were born in Philippines and you migrated with your family to the United States. What can you tell me about your childhood and early teen until you arrived here in the United States?
Well, I always say that I am so lucky to have an amazing family. My mom was a lawyer in the Philippines, but she decided to stop her job so that she could homeschool me. And she taught me English as my first language. I ended up becoming a model starting at age 3. And then I started working with the Philippine ice skating team at the age of 6. So ever since then, I was training, competing all over the world. I ended up switching to classical ballet at around, I think it was age 11. And then from there, I mean, that became my focus, classical ballet. I also ended up moving, obviously, to the US at the age of, what was it? I would say 15. Unfortunately, there was some tragic events, and my family, we lost our home. And my dad, he wanted to find a better life for us, and then we ended up here in the U.S.
And tell me, how did you started to study and become a professional ballerina?
So I started because I said a figure skater, and with ice skating, they want you to learn how to do, how to move gracefully, to learn choreography and timing. And so that's actually why I started dancing ballet. But then after that, I realized that I actually had more skill in the art of dance and that I actually loved it more, especially when I started doing story ballets where you get to dance underneath the spotlights with the whole set in the background with classical music playing. And I fell in love with it. And so I decided that was what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to become, was a professional ballerina. And then everything just snowballed from there.
But I see in your filmography and story, you had a lot of challenges becoming a ballerina.
Yes,
What
yes.
can you tell me about it? Because I've seen a lot of films about ballet.
Hmm.
If you remember Black Swan, I've seen Nutcracker, Cracker with Joshua Collins,
Yes.
and it was new. If you don't know if you have seen White Nights. It starred Mikhail Baryshnikov, who was a very famous
Yes.
ballet dancer with Gregory Hines, who was a tap dancer and an actor as well. So tell me about behind the scenes about being a ballerina. What are the challenges for a young woman?
Ooh, well, there's a lot of good and bad in anything, right? I really struggled, honestly, with a lot of mental health issues because of it. I unfortunately struggled with eating disorders and, finding my self worth in the beginning. I was young and I wanted to be perfect. And I really had to learn that perfection wasn't what was important, that I needed to base my self worth not just on my dreams and my skills and what I looked like, but really in something deeper, in like a higher purpose, which, well, I believe is sharing love and sharing my faith. But there was that mental aspect because it's a very competitive world. It's constantly auditioning, constantly training. There's a lot of bleeding toes, like you literally sweat and bleed and get injured and work through it throughout all those years. And then, of course, coming here to the US, it was very hard. I had to move out at the age of 17, try to get a job, and at that point I didn't have my green card yet. So that was a very difficult time in my life where I just had to keep pushing. I had to keep trying. Eventually, I found a job with Pennsylvania Ballet, and I worked a whole year without pay just to try to secure a job, just to try to secure my green card. And at the end of that year of working with, for free, I I got denied. Actually, my green card got denied, and I was absolutely devastated. They were saying that they were going to give my job, my position in the company, to somebody else. But thankfully, miraculously, my parents, who I came with to the US, we all got our green card as a family. And it happened literally, I think, 10 days after they said my green card was denied and I had to give my job to someone else. So thankfully, after that, when we found out I got my green card, I was able to secure my spot in the company and then, continue climbing my way up that ladder.
And when did you feel that you need to move forward and venture into another aspect of art?
Yeah, so I love dance, but there came a point, unfortunately, when I started feeling like it was messing with my mental health. And at that point, I was already a company member. I already had traveled and toured, and there was some drama in the company actually, and the whole artistic staff was replaced. So the artistic director, the ballet mistress, so all of them got replaced, and a new director came in, and he liked me in the beginning, so he kept me, but he got rid of a lot of the other company members. A lot of the stars left, and I stayed one more year, and it was really, really miserable. He he said he would let me dance and perform, but he didn't. And so I was just watching everyone do what I love while inside I was suffering because I wouldn't get to be on stage. And so finally, after that year, I decided, look, I've already done this art. I want to explore more. I can either move to a different company, start from the bottom again, or it's time to have a new adventure. And so I decided that instead of just starting over in a different classical ballet company, I would become an actress. And that started my journey. I went to school for it. I starred in a feature film, and then it snowballed from there.
And as well, you started to do modeling because when I've seen your filmography on the Internet Movie Database, I've seen you did a lot of modeling as well.
Yes, I have. The thing about entertainment that maybe people don't know is that in order to survive, you have to learn how to do a lot of things, right? And since I had started modeling in the Philippines at age 3, it was something I knew how to do. And it was one of the ways that I was able to provide for myself. So I, would get booked, I would find jobs. And honestly, it's all kinds of modeling. There's different kinds, right? There's for magazines, there's for fashion, there's for commercials. And I basically did almost all of it. I also had to learn other skills as well, like production assistant, writing. I mean, you name it. When you're in the industry, you have to take all kinds of jobs and you have to learn. You have to learn on the spot. I mean, one time I had to do press on the red carpet. I had never done it before, but that was the job I got. So I had to learn how to do it.
And I've seen, because you did a lot of things, you've been nominated for Miss California 3 years ago.
Yes. Well, I think that year was at 2023. And somebody I had done a commercial with, another actress, told me about the pageant. And I was like, I feel like I want to say yes to as much as I can this year. That was my goal that year, was to be the person that says yes to things. And I realized that with this pageant, it's a little bit different from others because they're very focused on platform, meaning what your purpose is, what charitable initiatives you have. And so I thought to myself, charity at that point was super important to me. It had been for over 10 years at that point. I had been sponsoring a child. A big part of my life was giving back. And then, of course, I had the entertainment aspect of my life as my work. And I thought, what a perfect way to join my skills and my heart for giving through this pageant. And it was the Miss West Coast pageant. It was the regional, basically, pageant competition that led to the United States national pageant. So I had no idea. I'd never done a pageant before. I had no idea what to do. But I did some research, asked some friends who were in pageantry, and then I ended up entering it myself in, creating my platform, which was to help children's education and vocational training. And then I ended up winning.
Congratulations. Before I ask you about your films, I want to know, do you like or do you dream to do something related to your heritage as a Filipina woman, a role, a character, or an idea based on your early childhood?
Yes, I do actually. So I've been writing a couple films, and one of them is actually a Filipino American rom-com. So there's that. I definitely want to bring it out into the world. It's a long process. It takes a long time for films to get from creation and idea all the way into the screen, right? So it is one of my goals to get that out there. I also have another film that I wrote that combines, my love for dance and film together. I also want to bring that to the film, and I definitely would love to star in that as a Filipina. And I think that would be super special. That's still one of my dreams, and I'm still working on it.
That's great. The latest film you're starring in is currently in theater. It's called Frankie Maniac Woman.
Yes, it's pretty.
I saw the trailer, when I was preparing for the live. Tell me about it in your own words, and what role do you play? Your name is Sarah as well in the movie.
I know, it's funny. A lot of times people put me in a role and the name is exactly my name. Well, this film is actually a labor of love. One of my best friends, she and her co-producer, they wrote it, they directed it, they created everything, they filmed it themselves, they did the costumes, they basically did everything. And this is a very personal story. It's a lot of film festivals were actually afraid to show it because it talks about really hard subjects. Basically, it's about this girl who's a heavier weight, and she's a singer, but unfortunately, because of beauty standards, she gets denied. They look down on her. She just struggles with how people treat her, and it's a comedic horror. So in this story, all of that struggle, that social struggle, that mental health issues breaks her, and she becomes this maniac killer that kills other women and struggles with her own mind. And she does it in such a creative way. Obviously, these are heavy subjects, but she writes it in a way that's funny, that's scary, that's gory, and it's super exciting, I would say. It has nostalgic feel. It has beautiful visuals, and it has a lot of classic horror references, which is why people are raving about it. And I really think it's a wild movie. As far as who I play, I'm one of the girls that she kills. Basically, towards the end, she gets into this like female cult in the desert. And at first she tries to fit in, and then when she realizes that she's not gonna fit in, she goes on a crazy maniac killing streak again. And I end up being killed in the desert in this like dramatic way.
There is something in common between the film and your life, because it speaks about the struggle of an artist.
It
Okay.
does.
And the suffering, and sometimes a lot of artists suffer for perfection,
Exactly.
to achieve perfection. But I wanted to ask you to tell something for the young people who struggle during their studies, to perfect not only art, but to excel in something. because sometimes when we were kids as well, we used to make fun from boys or girls who were fat in our class or our school when we were young. It happens all the time.
Yes. Yeah.
And sometimes as well, many of us have faced to be with a very tough teacher, a tough professor, a tough trainer. Okay, so
Right.
maybe you've been through that as well. What can you tell the young people, and so they don't suffer as well mentally or physically?
Right. First of all, I want them to know that they're not alone. Every single person faces those negative forces both out from the outside and from in our own minds. And I have to say, you can't always trust how you think and feel. Just because you don't feel your worth does not mean that you don't have purpose. And all the things that we see, whether it's our talents, our the awards we get, what we accomplish, what job we have, all of those are part of who you are, but that's not what makes you special. That's not where your self-worth comes from, and that's not where your purpose is. No matter what it is you do, whether you choose to become an actor, a teacher, whatever it is you do, your purpose comes from the love God has for you and the love that you share with other people through what you have. Honestly, that is really is the most important thing. And I would
Yes,
say, if a person, if you're struggling mentally, like I definitely struggled with that. I had struggled with eating disorders and all that. I would say one thing that really helped was to use my life to bless someone else. Because when you're focusing on giving and you're focusing on doing things and living life out there, you dull the voices in your mind. It suddenly starts to not become so important. When you're there with friends and family and showing love to people or creating art, you stop listening to the bad voices in your head. And so I would say that, I would tell people live your life, love other people, and know that your purpose is not in the things that this world values. It comes from your heart, it comes from your mind, and it comes from your actions.
I've seen as well you have won several Best Actresses award. What can you tell me about them, and do you think they will help you as well to get better roles and you know uh, um, enhance your future projects?
I mean, of course, I hope they always lead to better and more. The industry is always hard, right? You're always auditioning, you're always trying for the next thing. And so am I. I mean, that's the truth of the business. I have won a few things here and there. I've, done, some short films, I've some feature films, I won a few awards. But all of that is really transient. I have to be honest. Like, those things don't really last. It's always about the next thing that you want to do. It's about the future, right? And so for me, what I do is I work on my craft, I work on the entertainment, I audition, I put myself out there, I create my own things, but also I don't forget to live life, because you can't just always, focus on just the next job. So that's why, I wrote a book. I wrote a children's book to share my heart for compassion and giving. I just started a nonprofit. I'm helping friends with their projects. And I honestly think that is what really grows my network as an artist. It's not just focusing on just the art. It's actually living life with people, getting to know people, helping them on their projects. And
Yes,
I think more than the awards, that is actually what blesses my career.
this is great, and so you can be part of many communities and interact with a lot of people around you. This is
Yeah,
wonderful. Yeah,
yes.
tell me, you have future projects we can expect of you in the next period?
Well, so the movie that's out in the theater is going to be coming out soon on streaming. If people want to follow me, I always update, my family and friends and fans. So you can always find that on my social media. IG is at sarahgrace.lee. My website is up as well. I am, like I said, writing a few things that I hope to submit to studios. I have a few projects that I'm working on with other people in Vegas as well. They want to write something that is like a, was it mystery drama kind of work. I'm still working on my nonprofit. It's very brand new. So if people want to be a part of that and they want to contribute to the world, that's always one way to do it. And then I'm writing, like I said, my book is out on Amazon as well, Life Lessons with Lily, and I'm planning to write more.
And Lily looks like a younger version of you.
Oh yes, a little bit, huh? It does have the flower in her hair.
Great. I want to thank you very much for the lovely interview and congratulations for your success so far. I hope when you have a new project, you can come back and speak to us again.
I would
For sure.
love that. It was such a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. And also, if anyone has questions, feel free to contact me on my
Yes,
social media.
Instagram. Instagram, yes. And I will be in touch. And I hope when I come to California with my wife or a festival or something, we can meet as well.
I would love that, Sharif. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for coming during the weekend. Enjoy this weekend and best wishes for your upcoming projects. Okay?
Thank you.
All
God bless everyone. Bye.
blessing. Bye bye. Thank you.
Thank you.